Welcome to Grover Load. I'm Anthony, and here we have some security flaws, an AMD and an Intel one. We'll start with the Intel one because it seems to be more severe or rated more severely, and that's their Reptar, um, Reptar that impacts mobile server and desktop CPUs. And this is actually they say it's a high security flaw, and it basically can bypass the CPU security boundaries, according to the Google security researchers that found it. So it's pretty it's a pretty big one. And we just got, I think a few weeks ago I talked about um, the logo fail, and I've been starting to see some updates there. I mean, this is one thing where we constantly have to update computers and go through and just make sure we're up to date, software up to date, so we're hardened against this. But this is one of those things, another flaw that is out there, and it is taking can take a toll on the amount of patching that has to be going on for these products. But it's something that these products still have to do and still have to compete and fix, because these are being the researcher finding these. And I'm very glad that these researchers are going out and finding it. And by bypassing this security stuff, it allows for that escalation of privileges, being able to gain access to information, um, you know that should not happen. And overall, I think that is this maybe the worst one out there? No. Is this just another thing that needs to be fixed? Yes. And this is going to affect CPUs 10th gen and newer on the Intel side. So Intel will be, I don't know, I know I'm behind on this, but I think Intel was supposed to get these updates here and microcodes basically published, through the end of November and December. So they should be rolling out to you, and with the microcode updates, and hopefully that will then harden against it. I'm sure that the researchers been able to test the patch out a little bit. At least Intel has been able to, because once the researchers get it, Intel gets information, and hopefully that will kind of harden against this and prevent that for now until researchers find another thing. So just something to keep in mind. Just make sure you're going out, updating your BIOS, getting that microcodes updates, harden your systems against. I think that, you know, there's, as a local user, that's one thing, but as a, system administrator that's managing, VMs and everything else, and especially on public cloud, I think this is it, can't even be a bigger issue with just trying to keep up with stuff on the security side, because and making sure you're hardened against it, both at a compute level and then also on a network level, right? There's a lot of attacks that are out there depending upon what you're in. And then on the AMD side, they had one called CacheWarp. Now this isn't supposed to be as detrimental, or as severe as the Intel one, but this one, what was it out of? It was about the same time period, and this one I think was out of some security researchers. Was it CISPA? Um, and then there was also the Graz University of Technology also got out with this. But this is, a software attack fault. It's in memory, and it bypass, or basically is attacking AMD secure encrypted virtualization technology. And it's also exploiting that encrypted virtual machine that's supposed to be so good that AMD has talked up. Now there is a patch out for this, I believe, as well too. So these are one of those things I don't want to lose track of. I want to constantly put out there, hey, they're security flaw, let's go update. I think even if not many people watch them overall, hopefully they'll gain traction over time, and people will start to understand there's a security flaw there out there. Regular updates, taking a look at these BIOS updates. You get some of these where some of these companies where it says only do BIOS updates when if you're having a problem. I think we're getting to the point where BIOS updates are becoming more regular because of how CPUs are designed, right? That it's not so, you have so much microcode that controls things on the CPU, that this code needs to be updated, to be able to prevent or harden against attacks that have been discovered. And this is one of those things that just is how the CPU evolution has come, and that's how we're going to have to, kind of take care of things and making sure that we're preventing, the negative side effects of uh, these attacks from happening to our systems, because some of these, I can't remember. I've read a lot today. I can't remember if there was local or not. But if they're remote, that's even more of an issue than if it is a remote, or if it's remote, it's more of an issue than if it's a local and they need physical access to that server to be able to execute the attack. Now you just got to have good employees there and not let anybody into those secure parts of the building. But yeah, those are things. So with that, let me know if you have any questions on these, or anything what do you think about all these security flaws going there. I remember Spectre and Meltdown happened, and that was a huge Intel thing, but I always even back then said, don't be surprised as AMD gains more and more market share, they're going to have them. And sure enough, right, we're seeing a AMD, Intel, ones, we've seen Nvidia, and this is just this is just what happens as these technologies get more and more advanced, and there's more and more areas that can have an attack vector make an entry into that device, right? And that's just the way it is. So the best we can do is harden against it. So leave the comments below on how how you're reacting to all this information. What do you think maybe needs to be done going forward? How do you think, one thing, a question out a lot, and I don't know how, we're going to approach this, but let's say we find a huge security flaw down the road, and it's into a lot older processors that are still being used and actively used in a system, just not majorly. Do we, force the update, or do we have to try to just use the software to work around this? How, or is that sort of thing that we have to keep those microcode updates and branches and BIOS and everything else, able to be released in these companies down the line? Because that's AMD and Intel, right? It's a one-time cost. You buy the processor, and there it is. And let's say it's 8 years down the line, the processor still works, but now it has flaws. How do you address that? So with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support Grow Overload and helping this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, God bless.